Welcome to the Structured Approach channel. Today continuing with the second video in the series on the introduction in enterprise architecture. The series consists of 4 videos answering the following questions. 1. What is an architecture? 2. What is an enterprise architecture? 3. Which benefits are provided by an enterprise architecture? And 4. Which benefits are provided by enterprise architecture frameworks? The series is for all of you being somehow in touch with the topic of enterprise architecture, so you might be an executive or a decision maker and aim to understand the concept being super relevant to many companies and organizations, or you might be an architect already knowing about the related concepts, but looking for conclusive and consistent suggestions on how to answer the questions mentioned before. So without any further ado, let's get started with today's topic: what is an enterprise architecture? A sustainable understanding of the concept of enterprise architecture does not only require a fundamental understanding of architecture, but also an understanding of the concept of an enterprise. Relevant technical literature, such as TOGAF, provides the following definition. TOGAF defines enterprise as any collection of organizations that has a common set of goals. For example, an enterprise could be a government agency, a whole corporation, a division of a corporation, a single department, or a chain of geographically distant organizations linked together by common ownership. The key element of the definition is its focus on organizations with a common set of goals. Goals in the scope of enterprise are not restricted to a single context, such as economical goals only, but are intended to be understood in a more generic context. The provided examples for organizations with a common set of goals allow conclusions on the background of the concept of enterprise architecture, which was and still is influenced not only by industry, but also by military and governmental organizations. Based on the wide scope of the definition of enterprise, and also based on the examples provided, it can be deduced that the concept of enterprise can be understood as self-containing. Self-containing in the context of an enterprise means that enterprises can contain other enterprises. Typical examples are departments within an organization or divisions in a global company. Self-containing enterprises enable the formal descriptions of hierarchic organizations as well as loosely coupled organizational structures. Using the definitions of enterprise and architecture, I want to suggest you a definition of enterprise architecture as a combination of the concepts of enterprise and architecture. In the first video of the series, I suggested ways to a common understanding of the concept of architecture. The starting point suggested in the video was ISO 42010. Since ISO 42010 was a good starting point for the common understanding of architecture, it shall be used as a starting point again. In case you'd like to review the first video, just follow the regarding link in the video description. So, as discussed in the first video, ISO 42010 defines architecture as the fundamental organization of a system, embodied in its components, their relationships to each other and the environment, and the principles governing its design and evolution. Once one starts combining the definitions of architecture and enterprise architecture can be defined as the fundamental organization of an enterprise, embodied in its components, their relationships to each other and the environment, and the principles governing its design and evolution. In order to avoid misconception, I recommend making a difference between enterprise architecture and enterprise architecture model, being defined as a formal description of the enterprise architecture, which is typically represented in architecture diagrams or relationship tables. Finally, let's wrap up the content provided in the video. It was concluded that an appropriate definition of enterprise architecture should be based on a valid understanding of enterprise and architecture. The understanding of enterprise used in this video is based on TOGAF and describes enterprise as any collection of organizations that has a common set of goals. Based on this definition, it was recognized that the concept of enterprise is self-containing and can consequently be applied to hierarchical structures as well as loosely coupled organizational elements. Finally, the concepts of enterprise and architecture have been combined to the concept of enterprise architecture as the fundamental organization of an enterprise, embodied in its components, their relationships to each other and the environment, and the principles governing its design and evolution. Based on the contents of this video, the next video in the series is intended to discuss the benefits of enterprise architecture. I hope you found the video useful and are looking forward to seeing the next part of our series on Introduction in Enterprise Architecture.